Much of what happens, what is discovered now, will of course be secret. We will not be given the full answer. As the world continues to explore the secrets of this atomic age.
It's time to find out with Diego. Let's go. Ooh, yeah.
Greetings, fellow travelers. As the week reaches its thrilling midpoint, we broadcast from the mountains of West Virginia. Embrace the spirit of adventure as you join us on this daring journey through the untamed wilderness of Let's Find Out with Diego, Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. Thank you for taking this journey with me on this episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. Have you ever heard the tale of Jimmy Gonna Get Ya? This local folklore about a wild hermit living in the woods of Alabama has been striking fear into the hearts of both children and adults alike. Join me as we delve into the real-life story of Jimmy Gonna Get Ya and uncover the truth behind this spine-tingling legend. All this plus more. Please welcome to Bonus Overdrive Wednesday, two brothers that live to tell the tale. The Grammar Brothers. Fellas, welcome to the very first episode of Bonus Overdrive Wednesday.
How's it going? It was an intense introduction to the legend.
Yeah. Oh, it's quite a legend, and I know we touched on it on the last episode you and I did, Dustin, but I thought it'd be fun to bring your brother with you because you both experienced it probably several times, but you both have two different takes of how it went. But we're going to get to that in a second. And I'm going to explain to the listeners how I first heard of this story. Is one of my favorite podcasts. It's rather new at the time. The first time I heard about Jimmy was on a pretty awesome podcast called Redneck Magic Heroes. I can't say I remember the whole episode, but doggone it, man. That Jimmy part of the story really tickled my funny bone. Gentlemen, before we get into that story about your encounters with Jimmy, who the hell is this guy? And is it true? Was he some sort of wild man that just lived in the woods? Or was he just like a normal Joe Lunchpail guy that life just took a quick turn for the weird for him?
I don't think I would use the word normal at all with Jimmy. I do. I'm the younger. So one of my earliest memories is, remember, me and Dustin used to walk a lot. We would walk through the woods, go trails, go down. Everything used to be dirt roads out there. And I remember us going back behind where this guy's dad lives in the same area, but he didn't live in the house with him. But there was an old hunting shack where they would gut the deer and stuff, and just opening that up and seeing his little bed in the floor where he was sleeping and stuff, and thinking, oh, that's where Jimmy stays. But
yeah, I think me and you talked about that. Like, for this guy to have scared us so much, and for us to be so worried about it, it kind of puzzles me now as an adult that we actually went to where we knew the guy stayed and looked at his stuff, assuming he wasn't going to be there. Because if he would have been there, then we would be telling probably some whole different stories.
It's like when you look behind the shower curtain and you don't have a plan for what if somebody's really in there.
Right. So this guy now, was he like an older gentleman, or was he close to you guys' age, or maybe plus or minus 5 years or something?
No, I think he's probably got a good 25 years on us.
Yeah.
As we were
some hard years.
Yeah, we were 8, 9, 10, and this dude was already mid-20s or early 30s, I'm imagining. Actually, it's funny because the first time I ever saw him, our grandmother lived across the street, and it's her stepson's actually who it is. And I would go down there and visit sometimes, just walk over. Well, their door to their house was open, and this guy's just sitting in the chair with the door open in the dark, which, maybe had more common sense as a kid. That probably would have been a good sign to get away. But this friendly dude's just sitting in there, and
friendly.
Yeah, he was really nice. Hey, how are you? And I'm Jimmy or whatever. So I go back and I tell my dad, which, he could have kind of let us know Because I was like, yeah, this guy named Jimmy is sitting in Granny's house right now with, hanging out. And he's like, oh, Jimmy's down there. And it was like kind of the end of it. And then, as time goes on, you start to see like sheriff's deputies' cars like multiple times surround the house. And people are on the phones, by the end. We didn't have cell phones. So everybody, all the neighbors like are calling like, hey, Jimmy's out again. They're trying to get him. And then you figure out this dude is some guy you probably should try to avoid, or at least in a kid's mind, it was pretty scary when a peaceful upbringing gets disturbed by when you see that many police cars when you're a kid. It's kind of scary.
No, same thing in my neighborhood. You see police cars, something bad's happening. Or, well, let me ask you this, because this individual didn't start off as a wild kid in the woods being raised by a wolf. So he was definitely living in a normal house with normal people, and then something happened. Do you know what happened to him?
I'm not sure that I can't say much about his upbringing, except I can say I think it was his great granddad was the last man like legally hanged and executed in the Tuscaloosa County. So
Yeah.
You can Google this. It comes right up pretty quick. He shot a sheriff. They came to arrest him.
Did not kill the deputy.
No, he didn't kill the deputies. He did actually shoot and kill the sheriff. That's legit. Maybe that's what the song is about. I don't, because we're talking 100 years ago. But so I don't. As far as that family goes, maybe it was always kind of rough because we have outlaws and sound like some of the sons were in on it.
I do know this. I know the police department in our town, some of the officers told me once when I was calling them about something with him, they said and this may not be true, but the guy told me he's the only person banned from the police station, which means like if we just want to walk in there to make a complaint, they won't even let him walk in there because he's done so many crazy things down there at the police department.
Wasn't the last time they came to get him, didn't he army crawl through the woods past your house?
So I didn't know if you were going chronological here or not, because I had some I didn't share on the podcast recently with him. So the other guy on Redneck Magic Heroes, we make fun of this sometimes. He lives in town now, and he's a redneck, but he lives in town. And I was at his house one night, and the cops were running all through the neighborhood chasing some guy running through the city. And I always talk about how, man, I couldn't live in the city. So much crime, there's so much dangerous things going on. And that next week, the cops, I was outside with my kids, and this SUV, I don't know if it's sheriff or what, but it's police officers came flying down my driveway. I'm like a 500-foot driveway out into the woods. So I just hear this, whoa, come flying through there. The cop jumps out, runs through the woods. My kids are outside. I said, hey, y'all go inside. I went and grabbed which I didn't want to get shot by a cop, but I went and grabbed my pistol, and I was like, what is going on? And they were chasing Jimmy, and he had ran across my property in the woods and just laid down. And I guess they were in some briars because the cop got tore up, and they couldn't catch him. And they basically just left. And I'm like, oh, cool. So he's pissed off. And now he's probably just sitting behind my house somewhere. This happened multiple times where they would do that. And I'm cautious to use the word smart, but he knows how to get away. So he has learned all you have to do out here is run in the woods and lay down.
He's a master of evasion.
Yeah.
It's kind of like First Blood, but like without a veteran.
Yeah.
It's like it's like Rambo First Blood running through the woods, except this guy's crazy.
Well, I see your Bigfoot hat. I wonder if that's what Bigfoot's doing. He just every time just go lay down.
Yeah, Bigfoot won't even mess with this guy. So let me ask you, because he seems like he's manhandled police before.
Yeah.
Now, I want to say his special superpowers, but his special strength, do you think it comes from unnatural means, or is he kind of like the Jason Voorhees strength, as a kid and grows up like that and it becomes like super strong, killing people? Or I wouldn't say killing. I don't want to accuse anybody of anything, but maybe manhandling people along the way.
You think maybe meth? It's like Jason if he did meth.
Yeah, maybe this is meth or drugs or something. Maybe It's a stimulant.
I guess when you mix chemicals from your sink, it makes you do some wild things. I don't know.
Well, he was, around Christmas time, like the Germans and I think y'all have a festival up there like Krampus, like y'all have Krampus.
Yes.
We have Jimmy, so we, like we would have been kids on Christmas break. And I can remember one time it was a really cold day and I was sitting on the porch.
I remember that.
Yeah. And I saw like when it's cold and you see somebody's breath, I saw like that coming out from behind the shed across the road. And I started watching it and I noticed it was pretty regular. And then it wasn't long till I saw his head like peek out. And like when you're, I told you on your show as a kid, man, this dude looked like he was about 7 foot tall. Yeah. And you see this lanky guy like that the police are looking for, look out. So it's like immediately we had these big bushes in front of the house and I get on the ground because it's like, 15 foot to our front door from the swing. And I get down like in the cold, like crawl and run as fast as I can, lock the door. But we had a cousin, 2 cousins. The older cousin used to scare the younger cousin. Like they'd just be outside and he'd look at the woods and be like, "Oh my God, I see Jimmy," and so it would cause tears,
Oh, terrifying. Ruined Christmas.
Yeah, it ruined his Christmas one time because Jimmy showed up and just did nothing but stand in the corner. But he said it just has ruined my whole Christmas. I can't even enjoy myself.
Hey, I'll tell you this. He's always been nice to us. Now he's I don't know the drug history, but he's done a lot of drugs and where I live is where we grew up. I built a house right through the woods. So I would hear him when he wasn't in jail or prison. He would have these, I think when he's coming down off the drugs, he would just be screaming and cussing the whole world and, F everybody on this hill, F everybody here and all this, and just screaming, going crazy. And then I'd walk down to my mailbox and he'd come walking by and just be like, "Hey, man."
Well, maybe he liked you guys a lot. Well, which brings me to this part of the story, because if we're going to take the time machine, go back, I don't know how old you guys were. What were you guys doing on that dirt road in the woods? Were y'all ATVing, riding bicycles, where y'all got stuck and then y'all saw Jimmy coming running at you?
Did you tell him that story?
Yeah, we talked. Yeah, we had a 4-wheeler and we eventually got a go-kart, which the go-kart was they don't have as much power and they're a lot less reliable than the 4-wheeler. But I know you heard it on Josh's show where the go-kart shut down. We're like halfway down this dirt road away from home, and there's kind of a bend at the end of the road, and we see Jimmy around the bend. And,
it's Jimmy!
Yeah, and we start I'm talking about freaking out. Oh, here he comes. Here it's Jimmy. It's Jimmy.
How old were we? Do you know?
Man, I might. If I was 9 or 10, then you were like 6, 7, 8, something. I don't know.
See, I can't imagine.
We were little though. We weren't like 12.
Because my kid is 7 right now, and I bet that was terrible. He did
maybe
look 8 foot tall.
Maybe I was 10, 11, or 12, but I didn't think so. But I jumped out because I was driving and I started pulling the pull cord.
Choke it.
And we were trying to get this thing fired up. and Josh is just in the passenger seat of the go-kart, like you just screaming. And I'm like sweating it out of breath, pulling this thing for dear life.
Well, you were in your fat age.
Yeah.
So this was little fat Dustin.
Yeah, I was like as big. Yeah, I was as big around as I was.
That's why the go-kart wouldn't go fast. A couple fat kids on it trying to get away from a meth head.
I didn't receive any help pulling the cord.
No, I didn't help at all.
It was just a bunch of like panic. But we remember it 2 different ways. I remembered it actually firing and jumping back in the seat and hitting the gas and us scooting off when he's like 20 feet away. But you remembered he came by.
I can't. You look, I'm a little kid, and I guess I lie on my podcast sometimes and don't realize it because Dustin will text me after and tell me where I didn't say it the right way. I wasn't trying to exaggerate it when I told mine. I thought he got close enough to talk to us.
He may have.
Even if we took off, the funny part to me is I know he could hear us. Like, there's no way this guy didn't hear us screaming, like, "It's Jimmy!" And what goes to that guy's head where he's like, "Man, what's up with these kids?"
And he wouldn't have did anything.
You said Jason Voorhees. I used to think he looked just like Michael Myers because he had the curly hair.
Yeah.
And to me, it was terrifying because it was like a real Michael Myers because the dude walks everywhere. He'll walk to town from out in the middle of nowhere. You'd see him random places just walking. And yeah, he could cover some ground quick, man. And that little go-kart wasn't helping.
So what happened then as he got closer, you guys could not get this go-kart going. So I'm thinking, if judging by your words, as a fellow fat kid myself back in the day, I couldn't run worth a crap. So I'm not seeing any of you guys running. So what happened?
I think from what I remember, is it cranked up and we drove off at like the last minute. But Josh thinks he just continued wherever he was going and passed us and said hello. You know, so I honestly don't remember 100% what happened.
There was one thing, and I probably shouldn't say it on here publicly, but there was something that had happened one of the times he got arrested that made me and Dustin think he would come after us.
Oh yeah.
I don't know that I should. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Does it matter?
No, I don't.
He tried to get away from the police that were arresting him, and our dad helped arrest him. Our dad's not a police officer, but he held him. He grabbed him by the head and kind of held him on the ground for him. And we thought, when this guy gets out of prison, because I think that was the time he had stabbed somebody. So it's a violent crime.
There was a domestic situation, and our dad chased him through a junkyard and put his head through a radiator. Is what I remember. So we always thought he would like seek revenge.
But he's scared of us, or he's scared of me because I think he thinks I'm Dustin. Because Dustin was in the military, and I guess he just assumes he's tough and mean. And there's been a couple times in the past where, as an adult, I ran into Jimmy and he said something about being worried I was going to kick his butt. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not going to correct him. I'm so glad he thinks that that's what would happen. So just let the drugs do their work. And I guess the guy thought, I don't know, maybe he's more scared of our dad than we were scared of him. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. Didn't he get us mixed up? Because I told on the podcast that I'd given him a ride one time.
Yeah.
And he thought I was just like the nicest person ever, but I think he got us mixed up, and you were like taking credit for that.
I'll
like
be
you
the
were,
main one. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like benefiting off of my generosity to like I have a problem with this guy.
I wasn't going to correct it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but even when I did that, I had a gun where he couldn't see it because I was like, man, this dude might like act up in this truck. He wanted to listen to Kid Rock. I was like, I don't have any of that.
Oh, you could have. Did you tell him about him getting shot? So that's the one that always made me curious. There's a story where he went to another place. I don't know how he got there, but he was trying to acquire something illegally. And the guy at the door shot Jimmy. And supposedly Jimmy took the gun from the guy that shot him and made that guy drive him to the hospital. Honestly, that's a pretty cool story. But it's like, man, so even if I ended up shooting this guy, he's still coming at you.
Yeah, I don't think I knew about that one.
Yeah. It was downward.
Yeah.
They used to live, but that's pretty hard, dude. So he's been shot.
That's amazing, because you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry to interrupt you, because you're talking about the Michael Myers effect here. So not only did he get his head put through a radiator, he got shot.
Yeah.
Made somebody drive him to the hospital at gunpoint because he was shot, and he still lives.
Yeah. And there's no telling what happened to him in prison, because the few times I've spoken to him, he told me some pretty rough stuff from seeing people get killed in prison. There's no telling what he dealt with or what he did while he was in there too.
So is he still around, or is he like serving a longer sentence, or is he out in the wild again?
Yeah, well, the last I heard, he tried to, I guess the technology age has caught up with Jimmy. He's used to being able to break in and get away. He broke into somebody's house that had one of these rings or one of these, cameras that caught him, and he took some cash, and it's all on camera. So that's why the cops were chasing him through the woods by me. Because kind of where I live, there's not much out there once you get past me. So he knew if he just gets out there, they're not going to catch him. They eventually caught him, but they caught him while he was in town. He was on the west end of town here. It's pretty known for a lot of bad stuff going on. So they got him in the urban environment. He couldn't get away like Rambo, but they called him. He went to jail, and the last I heard, he's in like a, do you call them halfway houses if they're, he's just being reintroduced into society basically. And I don't know if he'll show back up in my area or not. We'll see.
Yeah, I hear he may be a big fan of Let's Find Out at this point. Well, we can arrange that as a guest.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a big fan of his, and not what he's done, but I'm a big fan of his story, how it's evolved during all these years. And I did this one thing. I don't know if you got a chance to see the promotional cover I did for this episode on Facebook, but I was working my magic with AI. Let me see what I would imagine Jimmy looking like. I even put a magic hat on him in honor of the show. Have you guys seen it? Did I nail it?
I didn't see it. Did you see it?
Yeah, I mean, just think of a curly-haired Michael Myers without makeup. Just like if the mask was like skin-colored, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh, I got one for you.
Yeah.
So when I was building this house I live in, I built it myself. I had a few guys help me, and there's some old time rednecks too, and a couple of them might have toked one or two in their day. And there was a day where we were taking plywood to put on the roof, and the guy in charge, he's probably 70 years old, he asked me, was I okay if he hired Jimmy for that day to help us put plywood on the roof? And because Jimmy's just sitting in the woods somewhere. And I said yes. Now this is me I'm in 30s, I'm 30 something, and nobody's there but me, him, and a couple of other guys. And the good thing to me was Jimmy struggled with the plywood, and I had a little glimmer of hope of, hey, if it ever goes down, this dude's getting old. He's not the same Jimmy that was in the woods with the go-kart and out in the wintertime just toughing it out. I'm thinking age is catching up with him. I probably shouldn't say it. Well, hopefully he won't ever hear this. But yeah, I remember that because he was really struggling to get that plywood on the roof, and I was thinking, oh yeah, like those years are roughing him up, man.
I mean, did you give him any tools like a hammer or like a nail gun or anything? Just
No.
carry the 2x4s and the plywood, right?
Yeah, we didn't let him do anything, and it was just one day for a few hours, just to, I feel bad for him in a way. I mean, it was a good way for him to make a little money, and he thinks Dustin's the nice one, and I get that, but I've often wondered like what it would take to help him out, and could he be helped? Could he get in a place where he could live the rest of his life and not keep going the way he's going? That's always the tough thing, especially with somebody who's been in it really his whole life. Yeah, I don't know. My wife she tries to help everybody. I've told her just, hey, you don't do it, let me do it. I don't know that he'd ever mess with us, but he's messed with several. I mean, he's stabbed his own dad. What would stop him from stabbing me,
Right. And I know we have a lot of fun talking about him, not in a bad way, but I guess, because he's kind of like a local thing now, like a legend. And I think, hopefully if he is in a halfway house now, he's getting the help he needs. And hopefully his sunset years will be a lot better than the first 60 years. There's always hope with that. So I'll ask you this because I know we're getting close to the time here. And if I were to ever travel to your neck of the woods in Alabama, right? And of course, you'll probably show me the touristy areas, like this where Jimmy did this, this where Jimmy punched a cop, this where his head went through a radiator of a truck. So, what would be the top 5 places you guys would take me to absorb and experience some real life Alabama culture?
Oh man,
Waffle House. No. Hey, you're in West Virginia?
I am.
Are there Waffle Houses there?
Yes. This is the kind of ones you can go to like a Denny's or IHOP or something, but unless you know how to fight, you don't go to Waffle House.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
No, I'll be serious. I'm sorry.
yeah, I don't know. Like the state of Alabama, some of my favorite places are like coastal, like the Fort Morgan area. There's the fort there around where we're at. You know, there's football because the Alabama team and the stadium and the statues and all that. And then we got a couple of pretty good lakes and rivers. Like it's more scenic here, I guess. It's and West Virginia, I think, it's probably very similar. It's not a lot of, I wouldn't call it big attractions, but there's probably a lot of natural. Like we have a few, like bluffs and canyon type waterfall areas people go to a lot, but it's not like a huge, like it's not like going to Yellowstone or anything like that. But if you want to go like kayaking or fishing or hunting or something, it'd probably be okay. But then there's a lot of history stuff. So like as far as most of your other show is paranormal and cryptid stuff. There's a bunch of old houses that are supposed to be haunted. I went in one back, I don't know when that was, February or March, and it's right in the heart of the city there, and you can go in and look around. It has, but I don't know. What do you think? If you had you've had people visit from like Thailand and stuff.
Well,
what did y'all do?
Yeah, I've had people from overseas come visit me, but really I just take them out and shoot guns and do redneck stuff that they've never got to do. But just a few weeks ago, I had to go up to New York for a job. And even then, I don't care about being in big cities. If there was a city in the South I've been to, I like it, would be Chattanooga. But I don't like going to big places like New York City. Or we actually went to Rochester and Buffalo, run down, a lot scarier than Jimmy, I'll tell you that. And there's a lot of rednecks up there too now. So you just get out of the cities and there's rednecks everywhere. Went to Niagara Falls. That's the kind of stuff I like. I want to go out and see the nature. So Alabama has a lot of that. We don't have majesty, It's majestic. We don't have a lot of that. It's foothills of the Appalachians, There's not any big dangerous animals, so that's good for camping, hiking. You don't have to worry about a freaking grizzly bear or mountain lion killing you necessarily. And it's just an easy place to live in a lot of ways. Gets hot as crap, but we kind of grew up, other than a couple of poisonous snakes and Jimmy, it was pretty easy to just go out and walk around. Birmingham sucks. Don't ever go there. Mobile is awesome. Like if you want to go to Gulf Shores, go to the beach. I think it's some of the most beautiful beach on earth. That in Florida, right there in the Panhandle, there's people from all over the country come down here just to go to those places. But like Dustin said, where we live, there's not a lot other than college football.
And good food. I mean, the food's good around the state.
Oh, yeah. You need it. Hey, Rochester, y'all need to work on your food, man. There's nothing to eat up there. They got something called, it's like a garbage something. They just pile all this crap on a plate. And it looks like garbage.
Generally, that's
oh boy,
that's been 100% true for like any of the states I've been to out of the Southeast. Usually, the food is not comparable to what we have around.
But that's
here.
also when we have a lower life expectancy rate. If you ever look at a chart, that people down here are dying a lot faster because we're eating.
So we're still using Crisco and stuff like that.
But yeah, it's a lot of obesity,
bacon, fat, everything.
That's what makes it taste good. Yeah.
Really good for a few years till the diabetes.
Our gas stations have like top notch like food, like catfish and mashed potatoes and gravy and stuff. Like actually eat lunch and get smoked wings at a gas station.
Yeah,
it's better than stuff you'll go to a restaurant and pay for.
And I hope that doesn't come off as a dig at other places in the country. I know I'm just joking, but people make fun of Alabama all the time for being incest, white trash. If you've ever watched Forrest Gump, have you seen it?
I have. It's one of the saddest movies I ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but man, that dude, he had a heck of a life. Like, so anytime somebody's like, oh, y'all like Forrest Gump and stuff, I'm like, heck, the dude's a millionaire war veteran that played Alabama football and did all this other cool stuff. I'm like, I'd be proud if he is a real person. So the things people tend to try to make fun of us for, besides the incest, I tend to be proud of. Like, y'all a bunch of hillbillies out in the woods? Yeah. Y'all got a bunch of guns? Yeah. I mean, that's cool. That's why I like living here. And I've been a lot of other places. There's a lot of beautiful places, a lot of other good states, but I don't want to be in a city. I don't want to live where grizzly bears are, to be honest. So I'm happy here.
It's a happy compromise, really. Let me tell you, because I was told the same thing before I moved to West Virginia about almost 5 years ago. Same type of stereotypical nonsense that I hear. You know,
Yeah.
the incest, the guns, and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, the guns, of course. I already had them before I even came here anyway, so that's fine. And there's not a whole lot to do up here, but that's what I like about it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
going back, not that it's great to the incest thing, that's a global thing. It's not just
It is.
Alabama. It's not just West Virginia. I don't know if it's really happening here or not, but if you want to get into the history of some of these royal families, the other side of the world, and how they do things over there, and currently some do somewhere, you'll be surprised that, yeah, not really so much here in the United States as they think. So before we go, Dustin, you know, we normally do this at the end every time you come on the show, and we have some very interesting opinions when it comes to music. And I'd like for your brother to join us on this as well. I think it's a lot of fun. Want to see if all three of us agree on something or disagree. You know, it's part of the fun. So I don't know what your taste in music is, Josh, but Dustin and I had this thing going. So if you join us, I'm going to start right quick right now.
Yeah, we usually don't agree on maybe like 1 out of 3.
All right. Well, this one's a little more interesting. I purposely chose them this way. So I'll start with the first one. Aerosmith or Nickelback.
Oh, that's easy for me.
That's too easy. You're playing like wiffle ball today with this.
Yeah.
Aerosmith.
I was scared you were going to hit me on one of these guitar players, and I'd be like, oh crap, I don't know who it is. Man, Aerosmith all day long. They're not the best band, but that's one of the bands I wish I would have gotten to see in concert back in the day, man. I love their so I'm a bass player. The bass doesn't do anything fantastic really, but I love the sound, love the songs, man. That was kind of my you know, you got the emo kids and gothic kids now. I guess when I was in 7th, 8th grade, Aerosmith was like my music to be all in my feels. Holding My Soul. That's one of the best songs ever, man. I love that song.
So all three of us are in agreement here. I would chose Aerosmith as well. So we're good. That's my wife's favorite band too. Had I chosen differently, I'd have been in real big trouble. Here's the other one. Scorpions or Nirvana.
Oh, you had to really think.
Oh man, yeah, Nirvana for me. Actually, as strange as that may sound.
Do you know how much he hates the Scorpions?
This is the first I've heard.
Oh, he hates them. Have you seen this? You need to send him that picture of the Scorpions posing. I would go Nirvana too, but I'm not a grunge guy. I don't like Pearl Jam. I don't like really any of the other ones because to me, Nirvana was. I like Nirvana, but Nirvana ruined the 80s. They took down
everything we like.
That we like.
We really do like. I actually like their Unplugged album, probably the best. But yeah, the Scorpions is for some reason. There's a few things about it, and it bothers me. I don't know why. Like I think it's the dude's voice and.
Ain't they Russian?
No, they're German.
What are they?
German.
And some of their some of their lines, the way they repeat over and over, musically, kind of. I don't know. It just bothers me. I can't explain it.
Well, wasn't the guy's mustache that bothered you? Because that's why, as a kid, it's like the mustache bothered me. I like their songs right well, but "Rock You Like a Hurricane," I'm done with it. Please put it to rest.
Yeah,
but it might be the mustache, Dustin. You got to really give it another spin.
Yeah, just the picture Josh is talking about. There's no redemption.
You'll have to send it to me because I'm very curious now. So I'll move on to the next one because I think we could do a whole episode on the Scorpions part. Alice Cooper or Alice in Chains?
I'm Alice Cooper. He's to me, and this is a bad comparison. It's like Bon Jovi, where you hear the songs, the famous songs on the radio that you like. One time I tried to listen to Bon Jovi albums, and I was like, "Whoa, this sucks." But the only Alice Cooper I know is the mainstream stuff. What I know I like, and I guess you could say the same for Alice in Chains for me.
Yeah, I've listened to a little bit of both. I think I'm gonna go with Alice Cooper too for a bunch of different reasons. But
I like the dude. I just
I
Alice
like
Cooper.
him. How could you not like Alice Cooper?
Understood. So where out of the three, I think I'm not going to agree on the Scorpions Nirvana part, but we'll talk about that offline. The last one, this is going to be a good one. Alabama or Kansas?
Alabama.
Yeah. Hey, I saw an old redneck dude yesterday on the side of the road out in Vernon, Alabama. I don't know who he was, but he just looked beautiful, man. He looked like he was in the band. And it just reached into my soul. And I just started singing My Home is in Alabama while I was driving. And it
Did you really?
Yes.
It
I
was
said,
like
there
that.
he is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a sign. That was a sign from the gods there.
It was. It was like watching a young hawk fly.
Yeah, Alabama has some really good songs.
Man, wow, we got everything but one. I think this is a very successful one
Oh,
on
you
this
agreed with
episode.
us on that one?
I'm agreeing with you on that one.
Oh, okay. Man.
So are you you like Alice in Chains more? Is that the one?
No, I'm sorry. Who said Alice in
you like-
Chains?
Sorry,
Alice
you like-
Cooper.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
went with the
yeah.
Scorpions over.
I went with the Scorpions on that one, mustache and all, but that's okay. I can forgive that. So, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you on and sharing the story of Jimmy. You know what? I'm going to ask you one more question and don't wring my neck because I'm just going to do it. Josh, you're kind of actually, you and your partner are the reason this episode happened due to that episode on Redneck Magic Heroes. Will there be more?
I really want there to be more. I talked to my wife today. I said, I don't know if the busyness I have is more or less than normal people. I feel like I never see my house. I feel like I coach, I teach at school. I do a lot of stuff for my church. And we had a schedule last year. Me and Cody were meeting every Sunday night to record. If we can get back in that groove, I had a lot of fun doing it. I want to keep doing it. I want to have some interviews. I got to get more technologically savvy, but yeah, man, it's hard for a redneck to use technology.
Yeah, they were good. I listen to them every week. I liked them. I think.
Yeah, thank you for listening to it, man. There's some. I'm sure you get this too. There's people that will listen and not say anything, and it wasn't until we took this big break that people came up to me and said things or made a joke from an episode, and I'm like, well, that would have been nice to know that you were even listening, and kind of getting us a little motivated to keep doing it. But I enjoy it, man. I like this stuff. It's not weird to me. It's fun. Just got to find the time.
I understand that when that day comes, man. I'm your number one fan. When you get that merchandise going, put me in, man. I'm gonna order everything you guys have.
All right. Thank you, man.
Excellent, my friends. This has been the very first and also excellent episode of Let's Find Out with Diego, Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. Catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for taking this journey with me. Until next time, my friends.
All content on this broadcast is a property of Diego the Podcaster and is served directly from our servers with no modification, redirects, or rehosting. All celebrity impersonators are paid performers. The impersonated celebrities do not endorse or promote any views or opinions expressed by our guests, Diego the Podcaster, or Bonus Overdrive Wednesday. The information shared on Bonus Overdrive Wednesday is provided on an as-is basis, with no guarantees of completeness, accuracy, usefulness, or timeliness.